Hi guys. Um, Sorry about the sound quality on the last video. I'm gonna try and speak a little louder for this one. I have no idea if it's gonna help or hurt that I am outside for this. Um, yeah. First of all, I'm not. You're gonna get a much more stereotypically INFP version of me for this video because I'm not in as good a mood as I was for the most recent one. Um, I didn't sleep that good last night, and I had to get up early. And today's my day off from exercising, which means that um, I get to my body gets to rest, um, but my head, you know, I don't know. I just don't feel as good emotionally when I don't get to go out and exercise. Does that make sense? I don't know. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense for most people. Um, but I wanted to talk specifically about gender roles as they apply to INFPs. Um, I've seen a few other people's videos. I just watched Ryan FP's video on femininity. I can't remember what his exact title is. I may end up um, registering this video as a response to his. I haven't decided yet. But at any rate, I want to talk about some of the same things that he talked about, which is what's it like for a male to be an INFP in this very sort of SJ culture. So my story is that I was raised in a family with just me and my brother. I have an older half sister, but she didn't live with us, and so my upbringing was kind of very. I don't know. I don't want to get into the details about that, but I always felt like it was me and my brother was always kind of the more extroverted one. That's a brief summary. He and to this day he's still much more kind of extroverted. I was always very sensitive as a kid, and even though there's not really anybody else in my family who's quite like that, my mom was usually pretty cool about me being kind of sensitive and emotional. Um, Even though I think she and everybody else in the family often got frustrated that I was so airheaded and I was always kind of daydreaming about stuff. So my upbringing was okay, but when I started to interact with other people my age, as you would expect, it got a lot harder. Um, I I don't know. One of the things that Ryan was talking about was how he got repeatedly referred to as gay. That that wasn't so much a problem with me, but I did get made fun of a lot because I was always the kid who was by himself, who like didn't know how to have social interactions that were normal, um, and so I definitely felt like an outcast. Um, so when I was a kid and when I was in school, I didn't so much have a problem with a gender role so much as um, just a problem with social stuff. And I don't know if that's because I covered up um, what I was emoting. I covered up my emotions. I don't know what the deal was, but I just, or maybe it's had to do with the town I grew up in, which is a pretty liberal town, and you can see it in the background. This is my town in Minnesota, and it's very progressive. It's a college town, so you know maybe the kids in my town where I was growing up weren't as prejudiced. I don't know. This seems like a BS theory, but I'm just like speculating. But as an adult, um, I have started to get some of that more and more. People don't openly call you gay or faggot if YouTube doesn't bleep that. Most of the time, people are too polite to. but I've had a few altercations where people have, um, like for my birthday last year, um, I don't know, I dressed up real nice and I tried to look good, and there were a few just rednecks, just derelicts in the corner, who called me a fag, and I don't know. I don't know if that had to do with my appearance or or if there was some element of my personality showing. I certainly am very sensitive. I certainly am very emotional, and I agree that generally those two things are not associated with um, being manly in our society. Um, I'm not gay. I'm straight, and pretty much all of my friends, if they spend any time with me, they'll figure it out right away because I'm always I'm trying to figure out how to word this and make it not sound like I'm a creep. But there's always some, I'm always kind of interested in some girl. There's always something. Um, there's always someone who I have my eyes on, and it's always a girl. I just can't. I don't know. Like I can look at a guy and think, oh, he's attractive, but then when it comes to that final bridge where it's like, but would I have sex with that person? No. Um, so I'm straight. Um, One of the things that I think is interesting for me, though, is that I spent the last few years of my life, after graduation mostly, trying to be, I guess, kind of butch. Like, I stopped caring about the way I looked, and I started dressing kind of, in. I grew my beard out, and I started dressing in, like, lumberjack shirts, my friend Natalie calls them. And I think I was sort of railing against my natural INFP um, effeminateness, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that was a subconscious thing. Because in college, I was very sort of, I was a theater major, so I was very conscious of the way I looked, and I tried to dress really well, and then I just kind of stopped doing that. And I think there was a connection between that and me trying to be less emotional, which of course was a dismal failure, and it just led to me ending up pretty depressed because I was, it's pretty hard for an INFP to pretend that they don't have any emotions. It really is not a good idea. So that arguably could have to do with gender roles. So I don't know. That's something that I have been thinking a lot about today. Um, and I think I can only tell my story. But my story is, for sure, one of, at this point in my life, it's one of self acceptance. I think I just need to get to a place where I can accept being a straight man who is sensitive and emotional and effeminate. Um, it's just who I am. Um, and I am. I don't know. It's nice to feel proud of your own identity. You can't put a price on that. It sounds really cliche. It sounds really cliche to put it in terms that blunt, but it really is nice to look in the mirror and like be proud of who you are, not only externally but more importantly internally. Be proud of the feelings that you have and the emotional communicative abilities that you have. So yeah, I'm sure there were other things that I wanted to talk about in this video with regard to gender roles. And I had like a list of things that I wanted to make sure I touched on, and then I lost the list basically. I don't know what to tell you guys. I really am disappointed in myself. I can't tell you how disappointed in myself I am about losing the list of shit that I was going to talk about in this video. Before I started recording, I really had a personal self beatdown session. So rest assured, heads will roll because of this list misplacement fiasco. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those weird things where I've always been really progressive in terms of um, how people can look and what lifestyle you want to live and whether you're gay or straight, like sexual orientation. Like I believe that you're just born that way. I don't think that sexual orientation is a choice. I think that's a bunch of horseshit. So I'm very like tolerant, but I don't know. At the same time, it's easy to accidentally fall into your culture's standards, um, and to feel like there are expectations that you have to fulfill. So, is this something male INFPs are that male INFPs uniquely have to struggle with? I don't know. I don't know. I think you could make the argument that that's true. You could also make the argument that as our society changes and becomes more gender neutral, and as women are seen as equals as they should be, that women maybe um, could potentially the female INFPs could potentially feel the same pressure to be less sensitive and emotional. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of discussion that you can have about it, but I think I speak for all other INFPs when I say that we might fit in a different society, um, in a society where people were more active in their emotional lives than their intellectual or professional lives. Not to say that INFPs can't be professional or intellectual. It's just that I think the place where we primarily live our lives is an emotional place, and it'd be nice if we could kind of have a society where that wasn't seen as weak or weird. So yeah, I hope this video wasn't too disjointed. Um, and then yeah, like I said in the last video, I still want to do one about my family and stuff, with regard to Myers-Briggs personality types and stuff. So that'll probably be my next video. Thank you for watching.